Dear students and viewers, today let us see an interesting problem where the quadratic equation will be useful for the practical life situations. Let us take the case of two friends, namely Ravi and Raju. They are friends. They are trying to meet after a long time. Ravi is in Chennai and Raju is in Hyderabad. Fortunately, they have a chance to meet both at Ahmedabad. That is, Ravi is also trying to travel to Gujarat, namely Ahmedabad airport. Similarly, Raju is also starting from Hyderabad and he is also about to reach Ahmedabad. And now the condition is that when Ravi is starting from Chennai, the approximate distance between Chennai and Gujarat at Ahmedabad airport is 1800 kilometers. And he is going to travel by a flight A, which will be travel at an average speed of 600 kilometers per hour. Okay, so the flight is going to travel at an average speed. The speed may be a little higher or lower, but the average speed is, we are taking as what? 600 kilometers per hour. It's nothing but the unit of the speed or the velocity. On the other hand, now Raju is traveling from Hyderabad to Ahmedabad. Actually, the distance is shorter than the distance traveled by Ravi. So he is going to travel only 1200 kilometers and he is going to choose a flight B. So he is choosing another flight and he is going to travel from Hyderabad to Ahmedabad. Unfortunately, the weather condition from Hyderabad to Ahmedabad is not that much good. So what happens means his average speed of the flight has been decreased by 200 kilometers. They have not given the velocity. They have not given the speed of the flight B. But what is the actual velocity? It has been reduced by 200 kilometers. When the speed is decreased, what will happen to the time? The time of flight will be more. The time taken by the for the journey will be more. So the time for the flight increased by 0.5 hours. We do not know what is the actual time, but compared to the actual time, plus we have to add 0.5 hours. So that is the condition. So now I will consolidate. Ravi is traveling from Chennai to Ahmedabad by covering a distance of 1800 km per hour at a speed of 600 km per hour. There is no problem for Ravi. On the other hand, Raju is trying to come from Hyderabad to Ahmedabad by flight B, but unfortunately the weather condition of the flight B from Hyderabad to Ahmedabad is not good. So what happens is that his flight speed has been reduced by 200 km per hour, as well as it's not 200 km, it is 200 km per hour, as well as because the flight speed is reduced, the time has been increased by 0.5 hours. Now the question is, now only we are coming to the question, who will reach the Ahmedabad airport first and who will be waiting for the other, by what amount of time? What amount of time? This is the first question. The second question is that, what will be the actual velocity of flight B if the weather condition is not bad, if the weather condition is normal, if the weather condition is good, then what is the actual velocity of the flight B? So these are the two questions asked in this practical situation. So how the quadratic equation of this type may be helpful for the friends to reach and meet at Ahmedabad airport. Okay, so we know that the formula for velocity, I have written here itself, the formula for the velocity or speed is nothing but what? Distance traveled by time taken. For example, if I want to, velocity is more means, what will happen? The time will become lesser. If the velocity is slow means, if the speed is less means, the time taken will be more. It's very obvious. So even if I'm going to run very fast, then the time taken will be lesser. If I'm going to walk slowly, then the time taken will be more. So we know the basic formula. The velocity or speed is given by distance traveled by time taken. The speed is a scalar quantity, velocity is a vector quantity. So the shortest distance is nothing but the velocity. That is the difference between the velocity and the speed. I hope you know because one is a scalar quantity, another is a vector quantity. Now let us try to find out how much time it will take for Ravi to reach Gujarat from Chennai. So what is the time, what is the formula for velocity? Velocity, I will keep the velocity of Ravi flight as V1. V1 equal to what? Distance traveled. What is the formula? Distance traveled by time taken. What is the velocity given by what is the velocity of the flight A? Is 600 km per hour. So you put the left hand side as what? 600. What is the distance travel? It is 1800 divided by time. So now the time taken will be equal to 1800 by 600. So when I'm going to divide, it will become 3. 3 means what we win? Hour. So the time taken by Ravi to reach Ahmedabad airport from Chennai will be approximately 3 hours based on this condition. Will be based on this condition. One more condition they have given the problem. The condition is that both Ravi and Rajiv are boarding their flights at the same time. Both Ravi and Rajiv are trying to board the flight at the same time. Let us say both are trying to board the flight at afternoon 2 p.m. Let us have for an example. So they are boarding at the same time. That's fine. So after 3 hours, Ravi might reach the Ahmedabad. There is no problem. There is no problem. Let us now come to the complicated region. Let us come to the little more complicated region of Rajiv. Whether you know the speed of the flight B? No, we do not know the speed of the flight B. Let us keep the speed as what? V2. V2. What are the distance? Yes, I know the distance. This is how much? 1200 kilometers. So it is known. What is the time you know? No, I don't know the time. I don't know the time. So I don't know the time. I don't know the speed at which the flight B is traveling, but I know only distance. So from this what I can tell, V2 into T2 is equal to 1200. Let us keep this equation number 1. Now, my question is, what is V2? The velocity of flight B. When V2 is not the velocity of the flight B, I agree. When this, very good. When this, we assume we have to confine what is V2. Then only it will be, the problem will be proper. So we have to tell what is V2. V2 is the velocity of the flight B or the speed of the flight B when the atmosphere is normal, when there is no bad weather, when the atmosphere is good. Then the corresponding velocity is what? V2. So V2 you have to mention speed of flight B at good or normal weather condition. Then what is T2? The actual time taken for Rajiv to move from Hyderabad to Ahmedabad by flight B when it's a normal weather condition. This is a normal weather condition. So this is the equation number 1. Now there are 2 unknowns. So if I want to find 2 unknowns, how many equations should I have? Two equations I have. But here I can't utilize this equation because this path is of no use, because we want to worry about only this path. So don't tell me we have this equation. This equation is not of any use for this particular problem. Now we want another equation. Then only we can find the 2 variables, because when there are 2 variables, we should have 2 equations. Then only we can solve them. So what is the next equation? This equation is for what? Good weather condition. Now, the actual condition is not good. The actual condition is bad weather condition. So what happened to the velocity? It reduced by 200 km per hour. It reduced by what? 200 km per hour. Very good. So it is V2 minus. So the actual velocity is say 800. Now the velocity will become what? 600. If the actual velocity is 1000 km per hour, now the velocity will become what? 800. But we do not know what is V2. But we know the speed has been decreased by 200 km per hour. What happens to the time? It is increased by 0.5 hours. It is increased by what? 0.5 hours. Because the time is not T2, it will be now. If it's already they are reaching by 3 hours means it will be now 3.5. If it's already they are reaching by 4 hours means now they are reaching by 4.5 hours. Okay, which is equal to 1200. Now what is the beauty? Now we have 2 equations, 2 variables, so we can solve them. And we can find both V2 and T2. That's what I am going to do now. Okay. Yeah. Yes. So now I will erase this one and I write the answer only. So it takes 3 hours for Ravi to travel from Chennai to Ahmedabad. So that one I have written here. Now from this equation, we will try to find what is the value of V2. V2 is nothing but what? I will write, what is V2 from this equation? 1200 by T2. How? Because I want to find what is V2. V2 will be equal to what? 1200 by T2. So substitute this value in what? This one. So what is V2? 1200 by T2 minus 200 is equal to T2 plus 0.5 is equal to what? 1200. So I'm trying to substitute the value of V2 from 1 into. Okay, fine. So it is now what? 1200 minus 200 by minus 200 T2 by T2. What I did? I have taken the LCM. So 1200 minus 200 T2 by T2 into T2 plus 0.5 is equal to 1200. Okay. Now what will happen? You can multiply this one towards the right hand side. So 1200 minus 200 T2 into T2 plus 0.5 is equal to 1200 into what? This T2 can be taken to the other side. Okay, fine. That's good. Now let us try to expand. Let us try to multiply inside. So 1200 T2 plus 1200 into 0.5 will become 600, isn't it? So minus 200 T2 squared minus 100, isn't it? 100 T2, whether I'm right? Okay, is equal to 1200 T2. So this 1200 T2 and 1200 T2 can be cancelled away. So it will become what? Minus 200 T2 squared minus 100 T2 plus 600 is equal to 0. It becomes which equation? It becomes a quadratic equation. It becomes a quadratic equation. That is what we are trying to solve by means of forming a quadratic equation to solve this particular problem. Okay. Now we can multiply the entire equation by what? Minus 1. So it becomes what? 200 T2 squared plus 100 T2 minus 600 equal to what? 0. The entire equation can be divided by what? The entire equation can be divided by 100 because every term will have 100. So it becomes what? 2 T2 squared plus T2 minus 6 equal to 0. I have divided the entire equation by what? This 100. Very good. So let us try to solve this equation. So now it is 2 into minus 6. So it will become what? Minus 12. How I got minus 12? You multiply the coefficient of T2 squared with the constant. So 2 into minus 6 is minus 12. So when I am going to multiply, it should be minus 12. When I am going to add, it should be plus 1. When I am going to add, it should be plus 1. So what is the answer? 4 into minus 3. So when I am going to multiply, 4 into minus 3 will become what? Minus 12. When I am going to add, it becomes what? Plus 1. So what are the roots now? 4 and 3. What are the roots now? 4 and 3. Otherwise I can write like this. 2T2 squared plus 4T minus 3T is T means T2 minus 6 equal to 0. Got it? So here also you can see now 4 minus 3 will become what? Plus T2. The same T2 but I have written as what? 4T2 minus 3T2. Please refer my earlier videos how to solve this quadratic equation. Okay. Now out of these two equations, for the first two terms I can take 2T2 as my common term. So it becomes T2 plus 2, isn't it? In these two terms, which one I can take common? Minus 3 as common. Then it will become what? T2 plus 2, isn't it? So I am taking, so from the first two terms, I am taking 2T2 as common. So it will become what? T2 plus 2. In the second two terms, I am taking minus 3 as common term. It will become T2 plus 2 equal to 0. So from this, what is the final answer? 2T2 minus 3 into T2 plus 2 equal to what? 0. Which means 2T2 minus 3 equal to 0. This is one condition. The other condition is what? T2 plus 3 equal to what? 0. In these two conditions, which is violated? Which is not acceptable? This is acceptable. This is not acceptable. Why? Because T2 will become minus 2 hours. So negative cannot be accepted. Whereas this can be accepted. 2T2 equal to what? Plus 3. T2 will be equal to what? 3 by 2 equal to what? 1.5 hours. So out of 2 time, I can accept what? This time which gives me positive answer because time cannot be negative. So how much hours it takes for flight B to travel from Hyderabad to Ahmedabad? One of us when the good weather. That is a very important point. But now whether the good weather is good? No, it is bad. Because of bad weather, what happens to the time? It increases by 0.5 hours. So the actual T now will become what? T2 plus 0.5. This T2 is for the good weather condition. This one you should not forget. So this is for good weather condition. So it is 1.5 plus 0.5 will be equal to what? 2 hours. So the 2 hours corresponds to what? Bad weather condition. Correspond to what? Bad weather condition. So he takes only 2 hours. Who takes? Raju takes only 2 hours. So who will reach first? Raju only. Okay. Let us assume both are starting at afternoon 2 p.m. Ravi will come by only 5 p.m. Whereas Raju, even though the weather condition is bad, he will reach by what? 4 p.m. Then who has to wait for other? Raju has to wait for Ravi by 1 hour. He is reaching by 4 itself, but he has to wait for 1 hour to meet the Ravi. Okay. Now the other conditions are: if the flight there is no bad condition, what will be the actual speed of the flight? Actual speed is what? V2. So we want to find V2. So what is the formula already we know? V2 into T2 equal to what? 1200. I told that is the equation number 1. Please recall the video. So V2 into T2 equal to what? 1200. Now T2, what is T2? T2 is 1.5. So V2 into 1.5 is equal to 1200. So V2 will be equal to what? 1200 by what? 1.5. So what the answer will be? So 1200 by, I can write 1.5 as what? 3 by 2. So 3 by 2 will go, so it will become what? I can do it, this is what? 400. So it become what? 800 kilometer per hour. 800 kilometer per hour. If there is no bad weather condition, if the good weather condition is there, then the actual flight of the flight B will be 800 km per hour. But what is the real speed now? 600. Very good. Why? Because it has been average speed is reduced by 200 km per hour. So the flight at which the Raji actually travels should be traveling at 800 km per hour, but due to weather condition he is traveling by only what? 600 km per hour. So I hope now you enjoyed this video and you also come to know how this quadratic equation will be helpful for solving a practical problem like this one. Thank you.